Where are ya? Where are ya? I can't see ya. Oh, there you are. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. I can't hear ya. I can't hear ya. Here. Okay. That's better. Yeah, we're going underground. I hear the train a-comin'. It's comin' around the bend. We are rollin' on the underground mining railway in Kimberley, British Columbia. I had heard that the mine was called the North Star. So I asked a fella, where's the North Star? He said, well, get on your bike and you can bike over to it. It's over by the hockey arena. I saw a sign that said North Star Trail, so I got on my bike and I thought I'd ride out to the mine somewhere. I rode and rode and rode. I rode most of the way to Cranbrook. Then I realized that this was a great bicycle trail, the former railroad that had hauled the ore out of the mine over to the smelter over in Trail, BC. But it was a recreational bike ride. Now, a Rails to Trail project, and it was great. But I wanted to see the mine. Well, I rode all the way back to Kimberley. I heard that the mine that was called the Sullivan mine, and they referred to it as the Sulley. So I asked another fella, where's the Sulley? I found the Sulley. It was a hotel, not a mine. I was right downtown. Some of the old mine roads and tunnels are right under the city today. The mine had 35 kilometers of underground roads and 500 kilometers of tunnels. Most now were flooded with the natural flow of water, making the huge area of the mine stable and safe, and thankfully beyond the reach of people. Over the years, the mine yielded 26 million tons of lead and zinc and some silver. For short periods, the ore also yielded enough mineral for a tin plant, a fertilizer plant, and an iron and steel plant. Just 100 meters from the downtown plaza, on the road to the ski hill, we saw the turnoff. We were early, but we got our tickets and the little train rolled in. Here she comes. Kimberley was named after Kimberley, South Africa, and everybody hoped that another Kimberley here would become as great and productive a mine as the famous mine in South Africa. These people had just experienced the 100-year-old Kimberley Sullivan mine that for 30 of those years was the biggest in the world. Mainly a lead-zinc mine, the Sulley also yielded smaller amounts of iron and also silver that was used mainly in film production for photography. A little German accordion music added to the tourist atmosphere. And what do you think lead and zinc was used for? Well, about everything in the modern world. Lead helps make paint, gasoline, plumbing materials, brass, batteries, fertilizers, ammunition, and even the cosmetics we put on our face. Zinc also is used for a lot of things, mainly for galvanizing steel, but it's also found in pharmaceuticals, paint, rubber, soaps, electrical equipment, and many other things in the modern world. The entire tour was well narrated.
Welcome aboard, everyone. My name is Gord. I'll be your commentator. Our engineer today is Peter.
Here we go. We're off to the races. The train ride from the station up to the mine was worth the price of admission, but I wanted a mine tour, not just a train tourist ride. So I had bought the ticket for the guided tour of the mine itself. It was a little bumpy and creaky, but it felt like the real deal. We circled around the station and headed upwards. These little train cars had served in the mine. They hauled the ore to the crusher in the mine, where the ore was broken up and the rock and tailings were started to be separated from the rock and dirt. Here you can see the different colors of the different minerals compressed into the rocks. All this had to be separated out. These are the basic steps in the mining process that we're talking about. First, you have to find the mineral. Exploration, either done in the old days with a mule and a prospector walking over the land. Today they use electronics, helicopters, and airplanes. But after you find the ore, you have to drill and blast it out of the earth. And then the third step is initial processing, sometimes done right at the mine, where you break it away from the rock and the dirt and get it to a point where you can place it into a high heat area at the smelter. The ride up to the mine entrance was enjoyable. This was the little creek, Mark Creek, where they found the initial body of ore. And these were some machines on a second track, just lying in wait that we watched as we rolled on by. This was a work area and machine shop. We are headed into the mine. The railway in the mine was used for two things. Number one, they hauled the ore out, and secondly, they hauled the workers in. This was one of the early worker haulers. It had benches and it was open air. These cars then became the carriers of workers in and out of the mine.
They're two-sided, there'd be men on either side. They started out in the old days, all they were was a plank, then they put a roof on them, and then eventually they put doors.
Our guide was the real deal, worked 30 years in the mine.
My father worked in the mine for 35 years, and I told both my sons there's no way in the world that either one of you are going to work in a mine. And ironically, my oldest son is a mine manager for Tech now. So we're basically a third-generation mining family in the Sullivan mine.
Often the only light was on your helmet. This was the battery charging station for the lights. If the light went out, it was total instant darkness. The basic rule was stay put, don't walk in the blackout. You could get disoriented and even lost. Eventually a light would come on or someone would come by. Dale went on to the other side of the mesh to explain how a tunnel was dug.
So now we've got to imagine where you folks are standing right now would be solid rock. So I'd be in a tunnel 8 feet high, say 8 feet wide.
The tunnels were arched because an arch is much stronger than a straight roof. Roofs were screened to avoid rock from falling down and were screened with bolts that would hold up to 40 tons of weight. Dale then described blasting in the mine.
When I first started mining, which was years ago, we used foresight, and that was dynamite. That was the actual old dynamite. It came in 8-inch long cartridges. Scary, scary stuff.
The walls were patterned, holes drilled, and explosives inserted.
You come in every day, you clean the muck out, you bar it down, you check for old powder, you drill it, you blast it.
Explosive work was dangerous and dirty, and it was often done just on a Friday afternoon, on Fridays when there weren't so many people in the mine. And you could hear the explosions and feel them in the houses in some parts of the town. We moved along to where they loaded the rail cars.
It would have got blasted. This is the muck that it produces. Now we have to get rid of this muck. So what I do is I pick it up with this mucking machine. I throw it in a car. Once that car is full, my partner would be back there somewhere with a train with empty cars on it.
Dale then demonstrated how this loading machinery worked.
That's how I lift the bucket. It's Armstrong steering, so if I want to go this way, I have to pull it. And this is my forward and back. So we're going to pick up a bucket. And when that book said we're the Sullivan miners, the best miners, I fully believe that because we could do any kind of mining.
Our next stop was the refuge station.
If something happened in the mine, this is where we come and take refuge.
There were only 88 deaths over 100 years of operation in the mine. And there was no single catastrophic accident in which many miners were killed or injured. Methane is the explosive danger in a coal mine, but it is carbon monoxide that is the danger in a hard rock mine. It has no smell, no taste, no color, and it is deadly to humans. Lamps were signals for carbon monoxide.
There'd be a little flame burning in there, you'd hang it on the wall, and you'd check it every once in a while.
Our tour inside the mine was over, but we had one more stop on the way home, and that was to visit the power plant, the unit that powered the whole mine. The train stopped and we walked over to the power plant. Outside the building was impressive, but it was even more impressive inside. This was the big compressor. It was brought in from the former mine at Moy Lake, and it created electricity and pumped fresh air throughout the mine. Low oxygen was a major concern inside the mine, and if you smelled a rotten egg smell, it was a warning, and you got to the refuge station as quickly as possible. The minerals were separated from the rest of the ore through a flotation process that was designed right here at the Kimberley mine. And that process was copied throughout the world. Mining at Kimberley changed over the years. The old North Star mine hauled ore to sternwheelers on the Kootenai River that went to Jennings, Montana, and to a smelter in Great Falls. Later in the steamboat era, ore was sent to a smelter in Nelson. A small smelter operated right here in Kimberley, but it was replaced by hauling the partially refined ore to the big smelter in Trail. Equipment gradually became more modern. Tires replaced rails. With the new equipment, women started working in the mine. After some hesitation about women miners, women showed to be equal to men in some operations, like driving the trucks. On the way back to the station, we saw the replanted slopes that was part of the land reclamation when the mine was shut down. Trees, shrubs, and grasses have established the return of wildlife. Groundwater and surface water has been cleaned up. The mine company has supported substantial golf and ski development in the town. Land was swapped with the city for residential development, and a community garden with over 45,000 plants is worth a very enjoyable stroll through. station, there was another group to go. At the station, you can go inside an original wood caboose. You can also tour a one-room schoolhouse of the 1920s to the 50s. Probably grades 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 in the same room. Kimberley is a theatrical community to this day. This is the old Orpheum Theater. And you can go into a miner's house of that era and take a look at the kitchen. Some of you will recognize this stuff. The living room, checkers instead of television. No TV in those days. This is the bedroom they've set up. You might recognize the old wringer washer dryer. Washing machine and dryer combination. Houses were heated by wood and coal in those days. And this is the granddaddy of the cell phone, I guess. If you take that mine tour, you'll get a lot of information. I hope I got all of the information correct. But if I didn't, I guess I would say that the mine tour guide gave me the wrong information. Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you want to see the hundreds or thousands of flowers in the Kaminko Gardens in Kimberley, and that is supported by the mine, just go to my playlist on bike trails. I made 2 videos about the railway line, which is now a first-class paved bike and hiking trail. Those videos show the Kaminko Gardens. Just Google, like it says in the bottom here, start with a little @ sign, @DonBarnett5090, and hit the word playlists and scroll down to the one on biking trails. Hit the subscribe button and that'll tell you when we're putting more videos, more travels on the internet.